Am I the jerk for telling them to butt out of my marriage? Here's the revised text following your instructions. Messy situation with my in-laws. I am now not in contact with them after they ruined my engagement and wedding, and ran a long smear campaign that has isolated my partner and me from the community. When my partner and I decided to get married, I began trying to build closer relationships with their friends. I made a big effort with Y and J, a married couple. I got close with J, talking about planning trips together, helping with their baby, and bringing food by regularly. It wasn't out of the norm for us to discuss things like family and other very personal topics. Y and J are both very aware of the trouble with the in-laws and had seemed really supportive. A few weeks back, I went over to make breakfast for everyone. Y and another friend made an excuse to go out with my partner while I stayed back with J, their baby, and cleaned up the breakfast I had made for everyone. I confronted my partner with a screenshot of something I had put on a private Instagram story about the situation between my partner and the in-laws. I framed it as if J had shown them the message and encouraged Y to speak to my partner about it without me, out of concern. I then asked my partner to keep this conversation a secret from me, and even fed my partner a plan to create an open phone policy with me, go through my old stories or conversations, and find the specific message to address it with me. My partner said they weren't going to lie to me and would just speak to me directly. I was noticeably uncomfortable and upset by this. My partner confronted me with it as soon as we were alone. I explained the situation from my perspective and showed the message and who saw it. I apologized if I had overshared. My partner understood and accepted my apology. They just reiterated to be very careful about privacy because clearly, things still get around. After addressing that, I shared that I didn't think what my partner's friends did was right. I don't believe it's okay to meddle in a marriage, especially over something that wasn't very consequential. I don't believe it's ever okay to ask someone to lie to their spouse either. I messaged Jay asking why they wouldn't just speak to me directly, and Jay was shocked. Jay did not show that to Y or encourage Y to confront my partner about it. Y found it while going through G's phone. Jay saw and told Y to not involve themselves in it. Y went against their own partner to confront mine. Livid, I texted Y, "Do not ever involve yourself in my marriage again," without a response. A few days later, the other friend went to my partner claiming that I had threatened you with that message, and that I am the only one completely in the wrong here, and that they're outraged with me. They feel that they were being good friends to my partner and helping them. So, who is the a-hole? You did nothing improper but stop posting private drama on social media. Nothing good comes from it, and assume anything you post will be shared publicly. Seriously, these so-called friends meddling in your relationship are total asses. You really need to find other people in your life who respect your boundaries and don't undermine your relationships. Am I the jerk if I choose to go to Japan over possibly attending my brother's dream work promotion graduation ceremony? I work freelance for a big company in my space as a contractor. And only this year, I have had the absolute pleasure of traveling internationally for their big events. Their next big event of the year is scheduled to be in Korea from July 27th to August 26th. The company has a travel agency that is in charge of booking flights for the workers. When the topic of Korea came into conversation, my co-workers from my department understood how my dream is to visit and travel to Japan, specifically to the world's biggest fish market, and my co-workers gave me a great idea. Because Korea is closer to Japan than it is where I currently reside, why not just ask the travel agency to book 2 one-way tickets, one to Korea and one back home from Japan? I can save about $1,000 on the plane ticket alone. I was hesitant because of my social anxiety. Then my coworker, whom I am decently close to, said to me that they are actually planning a solo trip to Japan and asked if I'd like to join them. That gave my social anxiety relief, as my coworker is someone I trust and get along with, and they have traveled to Japan before and voiced that they are extremely down to knock stuff off my checklist as they are going with no plan. Thus, I sent the 2 one-way ticket options to the travel agency and got approved. I planned for this trip to go from August 26th to September 5th. Today, my mother approached me asking when I leave again, to which I tell her July 27th to September 5th. She says, "Oh no." I ask, "What? Why?" She replies, "Because your brother Jay is having his work graduation on August 26th. 30th. He still has to choose the day." I'm left a bit speechless and upset, as all of a sudden, a week after booking flights, I find out about this graduation. I then also get a text from Jay adding me and my other brother Dave to the group chat, trying to find out what day works for us for his ceremony. I feel completely at odds with this. I told him I am traveling, working abroad, and can't attend. This is my brother's dream job, which he has wanted since forever. I feel that there are only 3 options here. I don't go to my brother's ceremony and stick with the Japan trip. I cancel the Japan trip and have the agency try to book me a flight back home on August 26th. I have the agency try and change the flight so I get home on August 29th from Japan, but only stay in Japan for 2 days. Trying to navigate this has been eating me up for the past few hours. I still live at home and my finances aren't the best, so buying a regular round-trip ticket to Japan is not feasible for me soon. You are not the jerk. What's a work graduation? Are we throwing parties now every time we get a job or a promotion? If the dude wants to have a little cookout over the big news, that's fine, but it's not a reason for everybody else to put their whole lives on hold. Sometimes you have to put yourself first, especially if your job is helping you out on that front. Would I be the asshole for restricting what my parent can do? Attend for my wedding after they kicked me out? My mother recently removed me from her house a week ago, where I had lived for a year paying her rent. We had an argument that day, which I had brought up. It was an old argument about how she had told one of my friend's abusive mothers that she had visited us for the holidays after I asked her to keep it a secret, and she agreed. There were other things going on with the visit that were my fault, but I feel like nothing warrants putting someone in danger like that. I have never gotten that mad at her before because she refused to acknowledge her actions put my friend in danger. We both yelled. I used some language in frustration and called her a liar. She threw me out in the middle of the argument with only my purse and keys. She refunded my rent for this month and apologized today for telling my friend's mom. Before today, she told me over text she didn't want to hear from me until she reached out unless it was an apology, upon which I apologized for my behavior and left her alone. I am currently rotating between living with my fiance's family and my dad. My fiance and I will be moving together on the 19th, so I only have to figure things out until then. She has been packing my stuff. My brother has dropped off enough items so I can get by. She is planning on leaving the boxes in the garage and not letting me back in the house to collect sensitive items, say goodbye to our cats, or anything else. I thought this argument was the only reason she threw me out, but afterwards, she sent me a text saying she is tired of me keeping my room messy, though not grossly so. She is also tired of not getting extra invites to my wedding because she has helped me in the past, and she is tired of me not being more grateful for a loan she gave me, which I have paid back consistently with the terms we agreed to and have thanked her numerous times before. I was not aware she felt this way since she hadn't brought it up. This is the only big argument we have had in months. My behavior was out of line despite the topic of argument. My question is if I would be wrong for limiting her role or attendance at my upcoming wedding or wedding events because she threw me out. I don't know whether or not she is in the right to do it since she owns the house, and I do have my dad as an option to live with, although I have not lived with him for years now and we don't talk very much. What I do know is that I considered the house my home for the past year. I paid rent, and she removed me without any warning and refused to talk to me for almost a week afterwards, besides letting me know my brother was bringing me some items. I don't know if I'm overreacting or being overdramatic, but if I don't want to interact with her as much, would I be wrong if I limit her role or attendance in wedding events in any way? She can't legally kick you out without notice, so consider getting a police escort to retrieve all of your stuff, especially important documents like your birth certificate and social security card. She had no legal or moral justification to evict you this way. Given her actions, it's entirely reasonable to limit her role or attendance at your wedding. She's not acting like a loving or mature mother. For now, going low contact seems like a smart move, and if you do invite her, be prepared to maintain your boundaries. Am I the jerk for telling my parent they shouldn't attend martial arts classes with me? I, a 17-year-old female, recently took up an unnamed Japanese martial art. It is something I've been looking into for months to better my discipline, self-defense, and strength. I have been involved in sports and weightlifting for many years now, but learning a martial art has always been a dream for me. My mother, a woman in her 40s, was looking for an outlet for exercise, so I suggested she join me for the first couple of classes and sessions. This martial art is a much higher intensity level than her normal activities, and it manifests heavily during the synchronized training when we have to slow down for her and pause for the instructor to fix her form. I believe that learning martial arts should be for everyone and that anyone can improve, but the problem comes in with her reactions. Her sense of humor is one of the biggest reasons I love her, but sometimes it is disruptive to the strong system of respect that has been established in the gym. She often jokes about the ceremonial aspects of it, specifically the recitation of Japanese phrases. I can tell that it irritates the more advanced members, some with over 20 years of experience, when they give her looks, but I most fear that they will associate that disrespect with me as well. Another issue is the discrepancy in how seriously we take it. She has stated multiple times to the rest of the class that she is only there to burn calories. This is a very valid goal elsewhere, like in a Pilates or kickboxing class, but not very fitting in this environment built on tradition, culture, and learning. She has asked me numerous times why I did not pick an activity that would be easier on her, like yoga or some type of dance, but she has a hard time understanding when I explain that I wanted to join the sport for myself. I have tried to encourage her to take up a class in something she is actually passionate about so she will have fun while meeting her weight goals. However, every time she finds a way to turn it into an argument about being embarrassed of her. I truly want her to be healthier, but I do not want her to waste her and the dojo's time with this activity. She is my sole provider for the most part. However, I am in the stage of transferring the responsibility of funding to myself as I will be going to college in less than a year. I wanted part of this stage to be finding an activity I could do and fund independently with my job. These are fairly cheap classes that I can afford on a high school student's minimum wage salary, so that is not a problem in this situation. Am I selfish for wanting her to stop participating? Is it my place to decide whether she is a good fit for this activity? How could I bring this up in a gentler way so as not to hurt her feelings? Is this even something I should be complaining about as a teenager who lives under her roof? You did nothing to be ashamed of. If someone lacks the discipline to practice martial arts and their presence is negatively impacting others, they should have the self-awareness to withdraw from the class. Your mother might be looking to bond with you over a shared interest, but her participation shouldn't come at the expense of the entire group. It's important to consider how a higher-up in your class would approach this situation with you. Has the instructor expressed any concerns to you or your mom? Would I be the asshole for not telling my newly discovered cousin that her father is dying? I took a DNA test a few years ago, and last month I noticed a new 12% DNA match on the company's site, indicating a first cousin. I didn't recognize the name, and I have a relatively small extended family with only 8 known first cousins. Based on the DNA profile, I figured out that this person had to be from my father's side of her family. I asked my father and aunt if they knew anything about another cousin. They said no, and encouraged me to message this person. She responded right away and said that she was in fact the biological child of my uncle, the brother of my father and aunt. She said she hasn't been in contact with this uncle in many years, but knew some details about him, including the name of his son. She was very curious to know more about the family and had taken the test to learn about her heritage and biological family. Now the hitch: this uncle is in hospice care and has perhaps a month or so to live. He has never mentioned the existence of this daughter to anyone in the family as far as I know. My uncle was not a wealthy man, but he prudently bought property a number of years ago that's appreciated considerably in value. His sole acknowledged son stands to inherit more than $1 million. I am not close with this uncle, and my father and aunt have been making provisions for him and taking care of him as the end approaches. Upon telling the story to my father and aunt, they agreed that I should not reach out to this newfound cousin for fear of upsetting my uncle and for fear of complicating the will process. Additionally, my father does not want to talk to his brother about this, concerned about upsetting him in his final days. He feels that my uncle kept this secret for a reason. Would I be the bad person for withholding this information from my cousin? And conversely, would I be the bad person for disobeying my father? I've never met her, I have no idea of her motives, and telling could lead to a total maelstrom of problems, but I feel awful not telling her. Given the complexities of wills and the potential for legal challenges, it's important to consider your uncle's wishes and the impact on everyone involved. It might be best to avoid causing any immediate distress by keeping the newfound cousin connection, but withholding details about your uncle's health for now. This approach respects the current family dynamics and minimizes potential complications. Ultimately, it's prudent to let closer relatives handle the situation as they see fit. Would I be the asshole for trying to convince my best friend to leave their fiancé? I am the best man in my best friend's wedding. His fiancé does not like me much. Regardless of this, I have always been polite to her because she is still my best friend's future wife. Last night we had his bachelor party. Instead of doing anything big, we just decided to hang out with just the two of us at my apartment, drinking, watching movies, and having a good time. Matt mentioned to me how he was feeling a bit hesitant about actually marrying Hannah. I asked him why, and he said it was because he felt she pressured him into it. Apparently she has turned into quite the bridezilla, and it is stressing Matt out. According to Hannah, it is her day, not their day. Matt mentioned how Hannah was trying to convince him to drop me from the wedding entirely in favor of her maid of honor's boyfriend. Matt showed me a conversation they had over text where she said, "I don't think the maid of honor would feel comfortable being paired up with him because he is gay." This upset me. I have been out as gay since I was in my early teens. My parents did not take it well, so I ended up moving into Matt's house and staying with him and his family until I could get on my feet. I will never be able to thank them enough for that. We talked about this, and Matt and I concluded that she does not like me because I am gay, and she thinks I am too close to Matt. I asked Matt why he was even marrying her if he was so stressed out and upset with her about this. Matt said he did not know, and that because it was so close, he would probably just go along with it. I told him no, and that he needed to have a serious conversation with Hannah about this, and then make a choice from there. He said he would talk to her about it, and I left it at that. I drove Matt home this morning, and he promised me he would talk to Hannah, and I left. I do not want Matt to end up in a marriage where he is not happy. Seeing him this stressed before the wedding has even happened is making me worried. I understand this is not my wedding, and it is Matt's decision to make, not mine, but I do not think he should marry her anymore. Would I be the asshole? You acted correctly. The people saying it's none of your business must not have close friendships. Friends are there to tell you the hard truths no one else will. Breaking it off now may be painful, but it's a lot less painful than an actual divorce. At the end of the day, it is his life, and he will have to learn his lessons in his own way. Thanks for watching. When you subscribe, make sure to hit the bell to turn on notifications so you never miss a video. To finish listening to all the stories, check out the playlist in the description.